There's one thing I want you to do for me.
What?
Come here.
What?
Win. Win.
What are we waiting for? Take this!
What is up, EOP sports fans? I'm Big Al, and this is Freddie Burns, and we are EOP, and we're coming at you live. We have a lot of sports to cover for you tonight in a short hour and 15 minutes, and we want to keep going fast and hard with you. I know your Sixers are on, and they are not looking very pretty tonight as we're going to talk some good about the Sixers, but being down, it looks like 31 points at this point against Sealand, as it says in the middle of the court. We'll get it. We'll touch on that a little bit. Freddie, what's going on, brother?
Kind of disappointed that you didn't do your normal intro.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I disappoint you? My bad.
It's Wednesday. It's time for EOP.
Oh, okay. You want me to do it? I'll give it to you. Let's jump on the Sixers because, like I said, tonight we have special guest Gary Groob and Muffler Mike from All Lacrosse to kind of talk a little Philly wings for you. And I'm not talking about chicken wings. Lacrosse Wings team is starting the National Lacrosse League starts their year next week. So we have the premier guys who cover the Philadelphia Wings, and they're going to be coming on shortly just to give you a little taste of what maybe you don't know or what you could be missing if you don't follow your Philadelphia Wings. But number one, Sixers roster has been missing the big three. No Harden. We just got Embiid back, and of course, no Tyrese Maxey. We've been seeing a lot of guys stepping up. Fred, where on this roster so far, who has been just blowing you away from without having those big three in the lineup?
I think number one has to be Shake Milton. He has proven, I guess, at times even in the Brett Brown era, when he's giving the starting role and he can get that volume of shots where he isn't threatened to actually lose his job on any mistake he makes, that he can produce at a high clip points-wise and get to the basket and score and get hot. So Shake Milton has certainly been the most impressive for me during this time period. DeAnthony Melton stepping into that starter role has been impressive as well. Did I just say disappointing with Shake? I meant I didn't mean disappointing. I said that incorrectly.
It's actually, like I said, I expected it. Listen, you always expect people to step up a little bit, but his step up has been significantly. I mean, the guy had little to no minutes on the court up until these injuries kind of piled up on us. Has this put any has this been like a blessing in disguise for you in some ways, like allowing maybe guys like Doc Rivers to look, okay, maybe we can be a little bit more strategical with who we put in and what lineups we put together? Is there a chance that you see like a Tyrese Maxey coming off the bench versus starting when they return and they're back to full health?
I don't know. I think we've seen this before with Shake as far as him leading the second team, and I feel like he needs those full minutes and that volume. He has spurts where he gets hot. I will say Doc Rivers does a great job at coaching when it seems like the stars are off the floor strategically and all that, which is odd in a sense because you figure, but it seems like when the stars are on the court, he plays them the whole time. I don't know if it may be a blessing in disguise as far as maybe Paul Reed a little bit. I think a lot of people love Paul Reed, and maybe he will give him more minutes as he's been very reluctant to, it feels like, and allowing these players to make mistakes now so that, when the starters get back, they actually play. Because at one point, the starters early in the year, you had PJ Tucker, Embiid, and Harden all playing 36 to 40 minutes. This is an 82-game season. This is, we know how the NBA goes. There's off days. You got to get these guys to the playoffs. So it was very alarming in the beginning of the year when we were losing and they were playing all those minutes. So would I call it a blessing in disguise? Maybe. But I just ultimately, I don't think these players are going to be playing down the stretch in a playoff series to win a playoff game.
Well, how about you kind of alluded there? How about during the season? I mean, like you said, 30, 35 plus minutes for guys like Embiid, who we know he can't do that. He just isn't built to do things like that. Harden is, on the other end of his career in the age bracket. Like, he can't keep doing that. Maxey, he's all about speed. You want to burn him out between now and the postseason. Does this maybe allow him to take some of those minutes away and give a little more faith into the other guys to play more and take away some of these heavy minutes?
Maybe, but we know how Doc gets, man. He's just weird. The rotations are just weird, and I don't know what he's gonna do, because like 1 minute you think he's turned a corner, the other minute he's back to his stubborn old self. Hopefully, yeah, but it's already proven. Like, the 3 starters are out a month each.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
you can't play them like this. Yeah, and PJ Tucker has his games where he looks washed, and a lot of people think he's washed. I kind of disagree, but like, you can't be playing. This guy wasn't signed to start and play 40 minutes a night. Like, you can't do it. So I've been impressed. I'm glad that the backups are holding water. I mean, it happened last year when Ben sat out and it had the emergence of Maxey. So, hopefully Melton's going to be in the rotation regardless, but hopefully this gets Shake some more minutes so that he can actually run the second team and see what he does. And maybe he's a little bit more confident now and knowing that Doc's just not going to pull him.
Well, you said it, PJ Tucker. Most people are already labeling him a bust. Sorry about that. You're saying that this is what he was brought in for. He was not supposed to be playing this many minutes. So is he a starter? Is he not? Like, why? What do you do? If you're Doc Rivers, if Freddie Burns is coaching the 76ers, what do you?
Well, your audio seems to be cutting in, or you're muting it, I guess. When they signed PJ Tucker, I thought the contract was high, but I also thought he would be backing up Tobias Harris, because Tobias Harris is naturally a 4, not a 3. So when you start PJ Tucker, you kind of move him to the 3, which people will say basketball's positionless, and I agree with that to a point. Regardless if he starts or not, I don't see him playing 40 minutes. Mm-hmm. But the fact that everyone's on him about the points, I don't really understand. I know it's if he averaged 6 points a game, would you suddenly be happy with PJ Tucker? Like, would those 6 points have made a difference? Like, he's a career 6-point guy. And the things he makes a difference is on the floor is defensively, rebounds, making the right play, making the right pass. And that's what he does. Like, you saw against Giannis in that game against the Bucks where they beat them. He was up and down the floor guarding him exactly like we're going to want him to do in the playoffs. So I get the criticism, but I don't understand it fully, because he's not a scorer and he's never going to be a scorer. So that's where I just kind of, I'm miffed. People complained about Danny Green, who played defense and put up points. Then when we got Tucker, they're all excited. And I'm like, well, the trade-off is toughness, defense, rebounds, boxing out, that type of thing. But you're not going to get points. You're going to get 2 threes from the corner. Another reason why he's been struggling is Harden's not on the floor. Who's going to get him the ball? We don't have a facilitator on the floor. Maxey's not a facilitator. Milton's not a facilitator. Who's the facilitator? So that's another reason why you don't find him in the corner.
Shake, or depending.
Yeah, but Shake's a scorer. He's a scoring point guard.
Yeah.
So you don't have a facilitator. So that's another reason why he's not been great. But I don't know exactly what people expect from him.
Anthony's saying here, Embiid looks like he lost his aggressiveness and looks confused, and the rest of the Sixers look lazy. Now, I'm guessing he's talking about this current game where they're down about 28 points at this point, at 85-57, with about 3 minutes left in the third. Anthony, is that what you're talking about tonight, or in general? Like, that's kind of where I want to clarify that.
He's probably talking about tonight, but I mean, I think at one point the Cavaliers were shooting in the second quarter like 95% from the field, just for the second quarter. Like, and then for the half, I think it was 72% from the field for the half, and then 67% from 3. So like, that's kind of tough to stop. As far as Embiid's aggressiveness, is he ever really aggressive? Like, I kind of started to get on him as far as from a physical standpoint. He's not a physical player. I think we all have to just accept this. If he's on and he's hitting those shots and he's getting in, then he'll get to the lane and make plays and make contact. But if the shot's off, I just feel like that's what you see happen to Embiid. He fades out to the three, and either he hits them or he doesn't. So maybe he doesn't look tuned in. Or what's the word I'm looking for? Locked in, Anthony. Yeah. Which we've seen that plenty of times. That's nothing new with Joel Embiid to me.
And sometimes it takes a bug to get under him, a little bit to get to that aggressive point. Maybe somebody chipping away at him, or it takes him the crowd to get him into it sometimes. So yeah, I can see what you're saying. He does have, call it, his ebbs and flows of aggressiveness, and just when things. And I think sometimes guys like him, when things aren't going well, and you see it, you're struggling, you're down 25 plus points at most points in this game now. He isn't what we would expect him to be. I think maybe in his head he's already, this is an L, and he's not. He's going to dial it in for the rest of the game.
They're down 25 now. I know in the I didn't see the full first half. I was seeing here and there, putting my kids to bed, but it seemed like he was facilitating well. He was looking for guys, and they were missing shots. So a couple open threes he found. Like I was just talking about Harden not finding Tucker. Ironically, Tucker's 2 for 4 tonight with 6 points from 3. But it seems as Embiid's trying to facilitate. Maybe that's part of it, Anthony. But we know, like, he's capable of, like, the minute we start complaining, he'll drop 60 like he did the one Sunday. I remember trashing him 3 days before, and then he drops 59. So we know what Embiid is. So
right now I'm going to be bringing in a couple guests here, maybe new to some of our listeners, but not new to the network. All Lacrosse, all the time, has been just doing an amazing job, probably the most elite job covering lacrosse from Philadelphia and beyond, as we always say. The National Lacrosse League starts up. The Philadelphia Wings start up this week coming up. And listen, I don't know much about lacrosse. I know you don't know much about lacrosse, but this is why we bring in the experts. So let me introduce you guys. If you haven't seen them before, this is Gary Groob and Muffler Mike. Guys, what is going on?
How you doing, Al?
So, like I said to you guys, lacrosse is not just something when I grew up, lacrosse wasn't something that was very often talked about nor played in high school. Now I have kids who play lacrosse, so I know a little bit from watching them. But tell us, I'm going to start with you, Gary. Right off the bat, the National Lacrosse League kicks off. You have the Wings. What do the Wings look like, just from on paper right now, going into the season?
I like the Wings team this year, actually. They lost a couple of stars. They lost Corey Small. They lost Kevin Crowley. But in return, they picked up a huge star in Joe Resetarits, who his point total alone is going to cover the majority of both of theirs. Also a lot grittier, big guy. Paul Day, coach, GM, knows him intimately. He's part of the Peterborough Laker dynasty, which has won the last 4-man cups. In fact, on this Wings team, there are 7 of Peterborough Lakers who have won 4-man cups. So they are championship pedigree. I even have a personal tie because the goalie on the practice squad is a friend of mine, Deacon Knott, and he just won a gold medal for the Canadian junior team. So you got some pretty good stuff coming up too. So it's a pretty strong lineup, I think.
So, Mike, question to you is, like I said, at almost 40 years old now, when I grew up, lacrosse wasn't something readily available in the Philadelphia area from, youth organizations, not so much. I mean, the Wings have been around for a long time. Actually, if I'm correct, the Wings won their first championship the same day the Flyers did, right? In the 70s. It's something along those. It was around the same.
I'll interject it. When the Flyers won their very first Stanley Cup, later that day the Wings had their first game.
Oh, first game. Okay, I knew it was something like that. I guess it's something that would easily be looked over, knowing that's going on. But Mike, I'm asking you, what do you tell maybe a casual lacrosse fan, or even somebody who might not even be in lacrosse, who lives in the Philadelphia area? What would you tell them right now to be excited about the upcoming National Lacrosse League season?
This isn't going to quite answer your question, but I'll use my own example. You can see on the back of my door, it's going to rankle a few Wings fans, but it's a New England Black Wolves jersey. And after the 2014 season, the franchise relocated to New England. So the city was without a professional lacrosse team for about 3 years before expansion picked up again, and Philly was one of the first cities given an expansion franchise. Knowing their history with having won 6 championships since the league's inception in '87, and obviously the rabid fan base, of course. The way I got into lacrosse was I actually went to a Black Wolves game on a whim late in the 2016 season, and all it took was one game for me to get hooked. So all I could tell a fan is, if you're in the Philadelphia area and you've never been to a game, just go to a game. The tickets are cheap, and I guarantee, win or lose, you're going to have a great time. And
Wings
that's
put on
really
a great show.
Yeah, that's really where a fan is going to just kind of pick up and go, whoa, hey, this was what an experience. I'm going to come back.
Yeah, I could attest to that. I that's when I was younger, in the early 2000s, and I think one of the people listening is bringing up Jake Berge. Bill Berge was a former Philadelphia Eagle, and his son had played for the Wings. And I remember, in the 2000s, I forget, I was underage at the time, but we would sneak, stuff, alcohol in, go to the top row of what was called the Wachovia Center and watch the Wings. And it was fun. It was wild. It was pretty crazy. And I actually bought tickets for my nephew, who he plays lacrosse all over. I think he's getting a scholarship to somewhere that's semi big. But anyhow, he plays lacrosse, so I sent him to a game. His dad was videoing it, and it was like live, upbeat, so much music going on in between, and the game's just constant movement that I could agree with you, Mike, that going to it is probably the best experience that you can make to get hooked back on lacrosse, unless your kids are playing. That's another avenue that gets you into it, probably.
Mm-hmm. And you're absolutely right in the sense that it is very action-packed, fast-paced. Kind of reminds me of hockey in the sense where, there's something always going on, and a fight could break out at any moment in time. And like you said, when I was younger and, didn't have any money, and taking my kids to even a Phillies game it would be way too expensive just to buy tickets and park. I've been to, a couple different games down there, including the Soul and the Wings. So it is fun. And that kind of is what got my son, who is now 20 years old, playing lacrosse for his middle school and then into high school. But like I said before you guys came on, I said, we don't just have guys who cover lacrosse. We have the most elite lacrosse coverage, bar none. And I'm not just saying that because you guys, we all work together and we're friends and all that. Our website, if you go to eopsports.com and just click on the lacrosse tab or /lacrosse, whatever's easiest for you to remember, there is something new at least once a day, probably more than that. Mike, I know you've covered almost every National Lacrosse League team since right before this to kick off the season. But Gar, I swing it back to you for a second. You have something a little prestigious coming up. You're going international. First of all, you're already international being in Canada, but you're going even more international. Why don't you fill everybody in on what's going on and how this came about?
I got an email from the president of the Ontario Lacrosse Association, and one of the teams is headed out to Prague in the Czech Republic for the Rubeski tournament, which is a world tournament. And I am headed down with them to cover this and to be one of the liaisons with the team. So
yeah. You're heading out to Prague, and they reached out and asked you personally to do it.
Yes, they did.
So that's what I'm saying. When you guys are elite, to say that we are, blessed here at EOP Sports to have you guys, because like I said, we could just have somebody who covers lacrosse, but you guys live, eat, breathe lacrosse, and you are nonstop with it. You're in Canada, as we said, Gar. Mike, you're up in Connecticut, correct?
I'm in Connecticut, yep.
And then Sean, who couldn't make it tonight, he's in the other.
He's in Saskatchewan. He's in the West Coast.
Yeah, West Coast. So, and you guys every Sunday night, or most of the time outside of any scheduling issues, but every Sunday night, usually 9 p.m., You have All Lacrosse Live, kind of covering all the stuff that you guys covered in the week on EOPsports.com, in one great 1 hour digestible moment. But like,
thanks, Stephanie. We're digging the Lax Talk too. Stephanie's digging the Lax Talk tonight. Awesome
Yeah.
sport to watch.
but,
I mean, these guys. Can you talk about the evolution of all lacrosse all the time? Like, you go, I like, I don't know much about lacrosse either, but I see every time I would ever go into our website to write an article, there'd be 5 lined up ready to go. So you guys hustle to go from that, probably with no traction, to the commissioner of the National Lacrosse League reaching out to you. Like, how cool is that? Like, that story overall just is awesome, that it proves you work your butt off. It's going to show people stuff.
Well, I actually had on my other show for Zingo TV this afternoon, I had the new commissioner of the NLL as my guest. So
wow.
Yeah, they actually reached out to me to come to their draft, and then there I got a 10-minute interview with them and the promise of another one, and today it was it. So I had an hour with them. So I don't know many people have got him yet for an interview. So,
yeah.
and
what's that like? How's that feel?
Oh, it's great. It's great because we were able to cover a lot of topics. They apparently have a huge announcement next week to stay tuned for. We talked about bringing back the All-Star game, and they're planning on doing that, just not this year. We talked about expansion, and again, that's in the cards down the road a little bit, but he's more into stabilizing everything that's going on right now. And, he's only been in the job 90 days, so, it's got a lot on his plate. Plus, this is opening weekend, and the Wings play in Halifax Friday night. So you want to catch that. And that's
so how many teams currently are in the National Lacrosse League?
So there are 15 teams, and the newest expansion team, the Las Vegas Desert Dogs, starts play this year. So
they're number 15, or do they make 16?
They're the 15th team, and
okay.
I
I
it's
actually
a pretty elite ownership group, though, Al.
Yeah.
You've got Wayne Gretzky, Dustin Johnson, Steve Nash, Joe Tsai. That's a pretty good group of fellas.
Doesn't Drew Brees own or have something to do with one of the lacrosse teams?
No, one of his kids was big in lacrosse, and he played it himself. So he's been on record of saying if he wasn't playing football, he'd be doing lacrosse. So
yeah.
I actually pointed out, I think in a Facebook post a while back on my own page, since the Wings had originally relocated, I think only 2 major sports leagues have done expansion. You basically have the 2 new NHL teams in Las Vegas and Seattle, and meanwhile, the National Lacrosse League has now added 6 teams.
Wow.
This is also the only one who grew during a pandemic.
Exactly. Yeah, that was the other thing. You would think things like this wouldn't, and also they're now being covered by ESPN, correct?
That's right, and TSN Canada.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's not like just guys who kind of like lacrosse. Like it is becoming a national sport covered by the big names. I like to see it Edge of Philly Sports. We did it even before ESPN was doing it. And I've got to know you now Gary, especially over the years. The man who I say that it never sleeps. I could sit here and tell more Gary Groob stories than I should probably know. But so like I said, I'm so happy to have you guys on our network. I'm so happy that our viewers tonight get to hear you guys talk about the passion that you guys have for this sport, because I think that's why things like having the commissioner come to you guys, going out to Prague and covering this big world tournament, because you guys just don't talk it, you live it, you love it, you have the passion for it, and they know that it's up and coming. And then that's why I'm glad to have you guys along. So guys, if you're listening, if you haven't subscribed to EOP Sports, either the newsletter or the website, go check it out. Save it up in your toolbar or on your phone, because there's something new in lacrosse every day. For one of these 2 guys or Sean at any point in time about lacrosse from the National Lacrosse League and beyond. You guys have done college, NCAA, you've done Canadian leagues, world leagues, internationally, all over the place. I want to thank you guys for taking your time to come on tonight and talk and tell everybody about the great work you've been doing. Any parting words you guys have before we move on?
Mike, you want to start?
Just go check out a game. You know, the team is pretty stacked this year. You know, obviously the addition of Joe Resetarits is going to be huge for the offense. The addition of Chad Tutton is going to be huge for the defense. You know, if if you check out my Outlook article, you'll see a lot of stats from last season, and you'll see what the additions are really going to mean to the team going into this year. And I really think they have a good chance to compete in what's going to be a really tight East Division.
Garrett, when is the actual league kickoff now? What's the actual date?
Friday evening is the Wings' first game. They're the only game on Friday night, and then there's another 5 games on Saturday nights.
So, do they actually kick off the entire season for the whole league?
Yes,
Friday?
They do, and they will be. So, all NLL games this season are going to be on ESPN Plus if you have that. But this particular game, the season opener, it'll be on ESPN News, I believe.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken, I believe it's it'll be one
and
of their
TSN
linear,
up in Canada. So
yeah, TSN in Canada. So, and
I'll leave you with this. Al was talking about lacrosse is the fastest game on 2 feet, and they'll sell you the ticket for the whole seat, but you're only going to need the edge.
There you go. Gareth, Mike, guys, you do phenomenal work. Sean, tell him we missed him tonight, but check out All Lacrosse Live, normally at 9 p.m. on Sundays, but this week, right?
This week we're at 10:30 in the morning. It'll be brunch with the boys.
Yes. So right after P&M in the AM, you'll have a little love with Gary, Mike, and Sean, and then we'll run the whole town right into Eagles pregame, of course. So if you don't have enough sports on Sunday morning, you just got some more. Guys, thanks for joining me, and I'll catch you next time.
Thanks a lot, Al.
Thanks, Al. Appreciate it.
Bring Freddie back in here. Fred, yeah, like I said, those guys are great. And like I said, if you're not sure, like you're on the edge, like, do I like lacrosse? Would I like lacrosse? Go check out a Wings game and definitely go read one of the many articles you can get from Gary and Mike and Sean over at EOPsports.com. So it's always a pleasure having those guys on.
Yeah, they were awesome. I love. Now I kind of feel like buying a ticket, and I feel like my kids will love it too. Now that Freddie can go to games and stuff, so like that, I'm probably gonna get one. Mike was spot on. Go to the damn game. It's real simple.
And it's funny that you bring up buying a ticket, because I want to introduce that segment was brought to you by one of our newest sponsors here at EOP
I'm so good, Al. I like uncanny. How did I do that?
You didn't even have to try. You just set me up to knock it down. Sherry's Ticket Town or sherrystickets.com. Join the best way of getting that hard to get ticket. If it's a Philly sports ticket, concerts, theater, you name it, they got it. The price you see is the price you get. You're not going to get robbed on the way out when you're checking out. So sherrystickets.com. It's family owned and operated since 1946. And you can save even more by using that promo code EOP10. You can save an additional 10% off. So when you're looking online and you're at sherrystickets.com and you find that ticket is priced for what it is, you are not going to get robbed for an extra 100, 150 per ticket on the way out like some places do. sherrystickets.com. Use the promo code EOP10. Save yourself additional 10% off. You will not be sorry. Check them out, sherrystickets.com. Don't forget, for all your legal needs, David R. Cherry is the man, 610-565-0300, cherryinjurylaw.com. Workers' comp, motor vehicle, personal injury, criminal law, you name it, he's got it. He'll take care of you. Tell Dave that EOP sent you. And it is December, and that means Dolan's is going to give you something to remember. Just starting this weekend, they got some great live music with Ziggy and the Moondogs starting on Friday the 2nd at 8 p.m. The Real Gons are on Saturday from 8 p.m. playing some classic 50s and 60s rock and roll. I always said something different is going on at Dolan's, but I've witnessed this one I'm about to tell you about. The Christmas Tabernacle, that's Tabernacle Choir, December 16th with Jay Whaley. It's Dirty Christmas Carols, dude. It is such a good time. It is hilarious. And also, it's a great place to hang out and watch an Eagles game. $8 cheesesteaks or $8 wing cheesesteaks, memorabilia giveaways. I believe the last game, Hollis Thomas was there. So you're always going to have something to do with Dolan, and you never know who you're going to run into, but it always will be a good time. And don't forget PhillySportsTrips.com. All these trips we have on here now are pretty much sold out. I believe Chicago has been marked sold out. Dallas might have availabilities. The tailgates are still open. They just released a Yankees-Phillies bus trip for the coming season. Sixers games, you name it. It is the time of year. You need presents for that hard-to-get Philly sports fan. Here you go, PhillySportsTrips.com. Check it out. Tell them EOP sent you. And I'm winded. What's going on? All right, we're back.
Great job, Al. That was good. You got through all of them.
Yeah, and I didn't pass out, so that's always a good start.
Yo, 10% off some Taylor Swift tickets with that Sherry's tickets.
Did not know Taylor or Pink. Pink was one of them too. That was shutting the internet down or whatever they were saying.
Yeah.
But like I said, I'm not kidding, man. I've already bought a few tickets from them because it's very simple. You price is what you see is what you get. You're not going to have to wait to check out to go, oh, there's an additional $300 charge for 2 tickets. Great. But I want to change gears here, and I want to talk some Phillies with you. Right now, it's we're kind of waiting with bated breath. Why don't we talk about, I don't know if you want to call this news or the tease that came down.
The tweet from Buster Olney came down at 9:30 a.m. There's 2 tweets today. Longtime agent, I guess that's his source. The Phillies will wind up with one of the, in parentheses, elite shortstops. That's going to happen. The elite shortstops available in free agency are Xander Bogaerts, Carlos Correa, Dansby Swanson, and Trey Turner. And then John Morosi, I believe, or he at least he put it on the MLB Network. I don't think he's of the MLB Network. Anyhow, the Phillies have emerged as the favorites to sign Trey Turner. I don't think that's much of a shock. Oh, cool. And then we tweeted out Buster Olney's tweet as well there as you're sharing the screen. So we're the favorites to sign Turner. I think we all knew we were signing Turner at the trade deadline last year, and hopefully it emerges as that we end up signing Turner strictly because Bryce Harper's friends with him, and that's going to do the deal. We just got to make the money work. I do think the Phillies are playing games here with Xander Bogaerts, like acting like they have real interest in him and the connection with Dombrowski, which may be valid pay-wise to try to drive Turner's cost down. But I kind of think I want Trey Turner. I think it's just, I feel like it.
Well, I think of all those guys,
Trey Harper wants.
Yeah, I think by far Trey Turner is the guy that you want out of that core group, and I know they want him. And I mean, the fact of the matter is simple: that the Phillies, we made it to the dance. We unfortunately kind of tripped at the finish line, but we have to be the sexy destination to come to. And now they have some spending money, some room to do so, and like I'm guessing this might be Joe. $30+ million for Trey is huge money, and then that might be that we do have the money to move, but is it gonna tie us up for any other moves looking for starting pitching or some back end bullpen help?
We had a bunch of money come off the books too, and then Eflin walking away. That was a stunner. That saved us some more money too. But yeah, it is a lot of money, Joe. You're right. It was a lot of money for Bryce Harper though too. And now as we get through the years, it's actually a cheap deal. So I don't know. I'm back and forth on it. I think we also give up a draft pick too if we sign Turner. Whereas however the collective bargaining or whatever, however that works with the MLB, but then if we sign Correa, you don't give up a pick. So do I give a crap about the pick? I don't know. They both had, I'm looking at the stats now. Turner batted .298, 21 homers, 100 RBIs, 45 walks. Correa, .291, 22 homers, 61 walks, only 64 RBIs. Both played while he had 30 less games. So I don't know. Dansby Swanson, I'm not really feeling him. I know he's a good player. I'm not really feeling Swanson. Bogaerts has a history, like I said, with Dombrowski. I don't know. Who would you go with?
Well, I mean, like I said, Trey Turner, if I had my pick of the litter, Trey Turner is the guy. I'm not as against Dansby, though. It depends. So if you can go lock up a good starting pitcher, a back end bullpen guy, and gets Dansby, I mean, that's 3 big moves that make 3 big differences. But it's like if you go get Trey Turner, is that it? Is that all the big moves that you're going to see from the Phillies? That's the only reason I would be a little bit gun shy on pulling that trigger.
As Joe's tweeting in here, all 4 are similar. I would say, Swanson, I think his average is a little lower, nothing crazy. I wonder how many strikeouts. That strikeouts kill me. Like, I'm so annoyed with strikeouts. 182 for Swanson, 118 for Bogarts. I got to pull up the other 2. I wonder what Trey Turner has strikeouts wise. Trey Turner's.
Does the fact that
I hate strikeouts now. I can't, like, since Kapler took over and 131 for Turner. I like Turner. I think I like Turner. There's no doubt in my mind that I love Turner. I wanted him here for a long time. I've been watching him from afar for a while, and I like him. My question to you: does it play in the Phillies, negotiations that there is 4 pretty elite shortstops out there, versus that Trey Turner being like the only elite and then being a big drop off after that? I mean, you got to get one of the 4, don't you? I mean, yeah, that's.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like,
there's no one else. Yeah, that's it. Like, there's no
guys. Does that make wheeling and dealing with Trey Turner versus a Bogart or a Dansby or anything? Does it make it a little easier for us to wheel and deal and maybe be able to work out a deal where we can bring guys like that in and still afford another big piece on another needed position?
No, I think they're gonna, with all the money that came off the books, I would like to get under the $30 million a year, but I mean, they're all probably gonna get that except Bogarts. Bogarts is a little bit older. Not too much older. No, he's 30. I think the other guys are 28, so it's only 2 years. No, I think they're in this to spend money, and I think they've proven that. They've made a ton of money on the playoff run that they've made.
On me alone, I should be able to pay for one of their
spend. But we need pitching. We still need pitching in here. I would like. It's not going to happen. I would like to move on from Rhys Hoskins. I would like a trade there.
Yeah, it sounds like they kind of pretty much said that's not happening because of what he's worth, because of his bankroll is cheap compared to what they would have to probably spend to get somebody in to match his production without to improve over Rhys Hoskins.
See that Joe's chiming in here. Swanson's getting not going to get 30, more like 20. I think more like 25, 27, 28. Like they're all equal in a sense. That's why I think Swanson's out. If Swanson was going to get 20, I think the Braves keep him. I think he's going to drive the market up because with all the different, shortstops out there, we'll see what happens. But the difference between like 33 million a year and 28, let's say, I would do but I see what you're saying. If it is Trey Turner's going to be 32, 33, 34, and Swanson's going to be 20, then there is something really to think about because that's $14 million, same age, same type of player. Then
with very little drop.
No, I got my heart set on Turner.
Yeah.
But your Turner, I feel like, and I could be wrong here, has done it more consistently than Swanson has, where Dansby's kind of just popped up these last few years, where Turner's just been a known stud for a long time. So you're also paying for what you expect to definitely have, where there's maybe a slight roll of a dice with Swanson getting a change of scenery, moving on to Philly.
Possibly. And like I said, I feel Rhys Hoskins start. I listen, no, I would love to move on from him. And not because I hate Rhys Hoskins, but because I just feel like the experiment's over. And he does produce, but it's so hot and cold with him, and then the mistakes become costly at times. I mean, Joe said it before, there is times during the World Series run that we kind of got momentum or ran off his back, but there's also times that he has cost us. So it's like, I don't know how to like.
Or you know what? I think it's just frustrating because the fielding is just let's not crush him. We did it during the season. He had some huge moments, and I'm glad he got those moments. You know what I mean? He deserves that. He put up with a lot of stuff. All he wanted to do was see Red October. He not only did he get to see Red October, he had some big home runs to experience, like the loudness of that crowd, and he deserves that. And I'm glad he did. But the fielding, I just can't get past it, man. Like Bohm improves himself in 1 month, and Bohm's not perfect, but you could see visible improvement where like Bohm had stuff at first base in a playoff game that cost you the game. You know, he shouldn't be it shouldn't be in a spot where he has to redeem himself. He should just make the plays. But maybe what kills me the most is the strikeouts. It just kills me.
Well, with that being said, can we all agree that 2 spot is not for Reese?
That's exactly what I was going to say. Maybe move him down the lineup, but I don't know what's going to happen. We got to see what the lineup is. We know that Topper is pretty steadfast on his lineup, which. You know, for years we complained about Kapler and Girardi and mixing the lineup and having 70 different lineups. I remember we did a show at one point. We did the percentages, and like we're like, oh my god, they've only had a certain lineup in 30% of the time or something. We're like, this is insane. So like, I appreciate the consistency of the lineup. It's just. It got them to the World Series. So, like, as frustrating as it is,
if you bring in a guy like Trey
they got
Turner,
to the World Series, guys.
Yeah. No, but I'm saying if you bring in a guy like Trey Turner, then you already start to move things around. You're gonna move him right to the leadoff spot. He's a consistent bat and he's got speed. That means if you can bump Reese down to the 6 or 7 spot, you move JT up to the 2, keep Harper when he's back and healthy in the 3.
Yeah, but they don't put speed at the top of the lineup anymore, Al.
I know.
They put power at the top of the lineup.
Said,
I don't agree with it, but that's what the premise is, that your power guy gets more at bats. So the fact that Schwarber leads off, they want to see him get to the plate with more runners on. But ironically, he had so many solo shots this year, it's unbelievable. But you would hope that the runners are on. But the problem is he's got this 7, 8, 9 up that are supposed to be on for him. As if the reverse is, hey, if you're batting cleanup, 1, 2, 3 is on now. So you got the chance to get some RBIs. We can argue till we're blue in the face. They seem pretty consistent on that. I don't know that Trey Turner automatically. I really don't know what they'll do, because there's no way to, because what the obvious is and what we've known baseball to be our whole lives is just not the case. They don't give a crap about strikeouts.
Yeah.
But we got to the World Series because they stopped striking out and putting the ball in play. We beat the Cardinals because they put the ball in play. Things happen with the balls in play. So maybe there's a change of approach. We'll see. But I'm sure we'll be complaining next year.
Yeah, and listen, you might see a improvement in the batting from a guy like Bryson Stott. Maybe he moves up. I mean, Gene's gone, so Gene's out of the lineup at that point. Gene could have been a number 2 or number 3 guy, I think, if he was still here.
We'll see Marsh get an off season with the hitting coach. Charlie Manuel was big on him when we traded. When we made the trade, I'm like, oh man, our top catching prospect. I know we have a catcher, but I'm like, I would expect more than just Marsh. At the time, I didn't think he was bad. I heard he was a great fielder, but then Charlie was like, no, I see he can be a good hitter. They started working with him. His average on the Phillies, I think, was like 270 at one point from the time of the trade. Yeah. So like he was batting 9. If you can get him hitting, who knows? But overall, free agency, we know, get one of the 4, and then we got to get a pitcher in here. We need a starter. Aaron Nola is not a 2, and he's not a 1. He's a 3 and a 2 at best, and he has days where he looks like a 1, but that's a 2-3 in my opinion. And I just like to be disappointed in what he did in the playoffs. Is that's what a 3 would do. So if you can go sign, and there are rumors today of DeGrom coming here. Now, I don't know if I want him here with the injury history. And I don't know what he wants. What's money? He wants way too much money. So I'm going to say no.
Makes it disgusting. The fact that you can get maybe a third of a season out of him is another issue. Okay, could you imagine like having the kind of season we had this year, making it to the postseason, starting to make a roll? Oh, DeGrom's out again. He's done. Like I can't imagine. So before we move on to the Eagles talk, once again, I put you in the Dombrowski seat. what do you put more important? Getting that guy, that shortstop like Trey Turner, that another consistent bat who can be clutch hitting, or do you go more for starting pitching who's going to be who'd either be a better one than Wheeler or, a very good 1B, giving you a 1-2-3 punch? Because we saw the difference in that in the postseason, especially the World Series, where that made a difference.
Now, I'll go get the bat. We got some young guns coming up as well. They're like flying up the minor league system. I'd like to see Painter and Abel up here, see how they do. If we can get a sign a pitcher, great. I want to get a 1-2 in here, but, I'd like to see what they have. And I want to get a guaranteed bat because it's way funner to watch baseball that way.
I probably agree with you. I mean, I still think they need a solid 3. I mean, even though Ranger does give you some, he just is really good, and he's just got that it factor about him. I do like that about him, but it would be
gold
nice.
Glove too.
Huh?
He should have a gold glove too. He's such a good fielder.
Sure. I'll tell you one thing. When I was at that one game and I was sitting right there at the dugout,
You got Rodon out there too. I mean, there's names out there.
Yeah. Well, that's okay. Do you go Rodon or do you go with Trey Turner? Because the odds of trying to get both of them might be difficult.
Zach Greinke. I might do like a Greinke. I don't know.
You go older guy with more like you can.
It looks like his. I'm just looking based on the market values of sportstrack.com, and they got him around $10 million a year. I mean, that's basically filling Eflin's spot for about a little less, even. Kyle Gibson's commanding 12 a year. I mean, Greinke's a veteran. I know he's had a little bit of his struggles, but then you got Verlander, DeGrom, $45 million, no way. Carlos Rodon, 32 million-ish. So that's a little better. That's kind of falls off after them three, though. And Verlander, I think, is re-signing. David Price, I mean, he's not a big name. These are like 3, 4, 5 guys at this point.
Well, David Price is another guy too. I mean, how much?
Yeah, like they're not the names they were. I'm not referencing them as a huge one.
Well, how about the one that was somebody at one point who was on the Phillies last year? I mean, if the price is right, do you keep running with Noah Syndergaard?
Nah, I think he's proved he's a 3-inning guy, 3-4 inning guy. Once they come around to him, you could tell by his stuff. Evaldi's a good one. As Joe mentions there, it's about 16 mil there. There's names out there. Corey Kluber's had success, 9 mil. I still can't believe Kyle Gibson's market value is $12 million. Don't bring him back. So,
I guess he really wants Need Evaldi.
Joe's out tonight because he can't speak, so he's sending.
He's speaking via messenger. So let's.
He hurt my ears through typing. Thanks, Joe. Do you want to type it one more time? Make sure you use 5 exclamation points next time.
Yeah, right. So let's change gears here. Of course, the big talk of the town is your 10-1 Philadelphia Eagles, who just come off with a score almost representing the 2017 Super Bowl win, 40-33. The Eagles beat Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers, even though Aaron Rodgers didn't finish the game. Let's just break that down real quick, and then we'll move into the upcoming game against the Titans. Give me your pluses and minuses from that Eagles Packers game.
Pluses. Jalen Hurts, resilience overall as a team to get punched in the mouth and come back and fight and not give up. I mean, it's very easy to get punched in the mouth like that and start to, but they just fought right back. It was a roller coaster ride of a game. Minuses, they still can't stop the run. Josiah Scott is a huge issue in the slot. And now with the injury to CJ Gardner-Johnson, Reed Blankenship, as much as he had an amazing game as a tackler and a disguise coverage. Thank you, Jonathan Gannon, who gets crushed every week. But that was a great coverage disguise and move by Reed, jumping on that route to be the first undrafted free agent to intercept Aaron Rodgers. There's a reason why he's a practice squad guy. He's slow, and you saw Christian Watson run him out of the building on the fourth quarter there. So I'm very concerned there. So, I'm concerned about the defense right now. I think Gannon will be able to put together something. You're getting Jordan Davis back potentially.
I was gonna say, does he play this week? You think? I'm a little hesitant on that one.
I don't know. They said he is able to practice. They cleared him to practice. Could potentially play. If he does play, I don't think he's going to have a ton of snaps. He didn't have a ton of snaps before he got hurt. So, we'll see what happens. It's a big run game, and we're going against a team. Well, we'll get into the Titans later. But yeah, that's my plus. Basically, it's Jalen Hurts and his resilience and his ability across the board. To run the football, throw the football, and just be a team leader and put the team on his back and keep punching back.
Mike Lauro brought up something that's been in kind of a conversation over the last 48 hours. Is John Clark of NBC Sports was having an interview with former safety Malcolm Jenkins, and now retired safety
prior to the injury.
Yes.
So
So the question is, I mean, of course, do you kick the tires on a Malcolm Jenkins, knowing with all the injuries in the secondary? He said
100%.
in his message, he said he's physically able to play. He's stayed in shape. He feels like he has a run in it, and he kind of could have came off choking the first time around, but he kind of repeated himself. He brought it back around. You're Howie Roseman. Do you pick up the phone?
Yeah, I'd have him signed tomorrow.
Actually, I said I'd have him signed at least for special teams. He might be just
I don't know if he's going to come back and do that, though. He's going to come back and want to play safety. But regardless, I mean, even like, let's say you love Reed Blankenship and he's like, I'm wrong. He's fast, and all of a sudden he's a great cover safety. Sure. If he goes down, Kayvon Wallace stinks, is so bad. So, you have to sign Malcolm Jenkins, in my opinion. You just do. And CJ Gardner-Johnson, a lacerated kidney. They said he might be back. It's not season ending. Lacerated kidney doesn't sound great. There's been times that injury's been 1 week. I think that was Zach Ertz.
Zach Ertz had a spleen. I think his was spleen. The spleen.
And then another guy, it was 5 weeks. So regardless, I need to solidify that safety, because when we get to the playoffs, if we're going to win a Super Bowl, right? We're going to have to beat the Chiefs or the Buffalo Bills. Likely. Yeah. Or the Miami Dolphins.
Sure.
Or the freaking Minnesota Vikings. We blew them out. It's very unlikely we're going to blow them out again. I know it felt good, but without that, they'll rip us apart with those receivers. So
I know this sounds terrible.
Got to bring them back.
My typical line, but the Vikings I don't fear, because
I'm saying without our secondary. I'm saying
but I still don't fear them, because I think Kirk Cousins chokes himself. I think he beats him more than he would get beaten by us.
Yeah, not if Kayvon Wallace is your.
Well,
your
that's probably a different story.
Well, that's what we're talking about. Should you bring back Malcolm Jenkins? And I'm saying yes for these reasons. And then even better, when if CJ does come back, now there's so many things you can do, because we know Malcolm Jenkins has played linebacker before in spots. Now you can run so many different combinations of that 5-2, where you bring and you disguise all types of stuff. It would be really, really cool, actually.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that they haven't announced, I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, because the question is, are they going to put CJ on IR, which means he'd be out for 4 weeks? They haven't decided that yet, because they want to see, where the healing is. And, it all depends on how bad of a cut is, or, on the kidney it is. That makes a big difference, and how painful it is. Because remember, I mean, Ertz talked about it. He wore that flak jacket when he had the injury to protect the area, and they probably gave him a lot of pain medicine or numbed him up pretty damn good to not feel the pain of, playing football with that type of injury. Because every jolt's got to be just painful as all get out.
I mean, it's insane. I don't even know how a guy comes back in a week. So that's it's rest is what you're supposed to get. Yeah. But like you said, do you put him on the IR and they just accept it's going to be 4 weeks? Or if I mean, you can't not put him on the IR and then put him. We saw this with Deshaun Jackson, where we just let's just see how long it takes to get rested. Then it's healed and you're injured again. I rather just put him on IR, sign Malcolm Jenkins, I guess the scheme's different because he played under Schwartz here. It's still a passive scheme that doesn't blitz a lot. So I don't see why he just fits in. What's the worst that can happen? I don't. Either way, it's not. I'm not confident going into the rest of the season with Reed Blankenship. I'll tell you that right now. I'm glad he filled in. He reminds me of Tim Houck, not because he's a white guy, but just because he's like a tackler, run up. No, that's the natural thing people would think if I said that. But he reminds you of Tim Houck running up and just the tackles he was making. He helped the run D. When he came in, it seemed like the Packers' run D slowed a bit just because he was aggressive. It was almost like he was a linebacker hitting the holes. But
that's that new breed
coverage. I think you get a couple games on tape of him, and an offensive coordinator will dice us up.
Sure. Now, speaking of, so this week, it's not the passing game that the Titans are known for. It's the run game, and of course, King Henry or Derrick Henry. Now, looking at his stats from last week, Derrick Henry on the ground was not impressive at all. When he played again, they lost to the Bengals this week. They are 7-4. He had 38 yards for 17 attempts. That's 2.2 yards per carry. They couldn't put points up on the board. Now the Bengals has a decent defense. Probably right now a better secondary with our injuries that we're dealing with. But I mean, Treylon Burks is the guy that they used the AJ Brown pick when they swapped with us. He's
pretty good.
His own, huh?
He's pretty good. He's been starting to evolve as a rookie.
Yeah, but Derrick Henry actually did better in the air. He was 3 for 3 with 79 yards in the passing game last week. But I mean, like Derrick Henry versus our now newer, maybe a little aged, but newer front defensive line. How do you feel about this matchup going into Sunday?
I think it's the key to the matchup is our defensive line as well as our linebackers. And I would like to see some 4-3. I really would. I know, but Nakobe Dean's clearly not ready, and neither there's Davion Taylor. So I guess we're going to continue to see this 2 linebacker sets. So that puts it on the defensive line to get push on the run plays. But we also need linebackers that are going to fill the holes. Like TJ Edwards has done a little bit of that the last week or two, or week and a half-ish. But he's been playing patty cake too, where it just seems like he's waiting for the pass, and he's I guess that's why we've seen better coverage from both of our linebackers. But that's part of this issue. They need to fill those holes, those gaps. You kind of see Reed do that. But let's assume we stop the run. If we stop the run, the Titans they're terrible. Like the pass defense is bad. So the pass protection from the offensive line on the Titan side of the ball is ranked like 28th in the league or something low 20s or high 20s. So if we force them into passing, I think this is a win, and we don't have to worry about the the pass, because we're gonna have pressure all over Tannehill, and you can kind of single out Burks and then hopefully win the football game that way. That's the key, I think, is our defensive line, as it's always been on the defensive end, getting push. We see games where they get push. Then we see games where they're just like the for parts of the Packers game, or even the Redskins game. You see them get pushed up and down, and all of a sudden they lock it in the fourth quarter, and they're animals. What line are we going to get? I don't know. Everyone loves blaming Gannon. It's very hard to me to blame Gannon for any of this. Like, players play. Like if players were getting penetration and they weren't, and then I'd be like, this is on Gannon, but it's not. And you can't send the blitz. Blitz. Yeah. Who is he going to blitz with? He's down so many players in the secondary.
Well, look what happened to Green Bay. That's they're like one of the heaviest blitzing teams in the NFL right now, and it hurt them. They tried spying Jalen Hurts, and that just blew up in their face. I think that's how the dude broke his ankles trying to tackle Jalen Hurts. Now here's Dallas.
When's Devontae Maddox back? We need to get him back. I think we have a few more weeks with him. He's the key to me.
If I said to you in the beginning of the year, there's gonna be a part where we're like begging Devontae Maddox to come back, would you call me crazy?
I would have, but now in hindsight, though, thinking about the way this league is and how every team has, pretty solid receivers in there as far as speed goes. Stop it. Well, it's up to the cornerback makes that decision. He gives them free way to make those calls. So that's not fully on Gannon, and I'm going to trust Bradbury and what's his face, Slay to make those decisions, being how great of corners they are. Yeah. But even with that said, yes, he has to do that because he has no back end help with the safeties. Marcus Epps is not a great cover safety either. He's more of a guy that comes up and makes a hit. And CJ has had his interceptions, but a lot of them are off deflections and diving interceptions. He's make plays. I have no issue with Gannon with that. I mean, you could maybe move them up some. My only issue with Gannon is playing the 4-3 because that's stopping the run. But, I mean, this team's like number one in takeaways. They're number one in so many other statistics, and we want to fire the goddamn defensive coordinator. It's insane to me.
Still plus 13 in the takeaway giveaway category. Now, that's the other thing is Tennessee will turn it over. They're only plus 2 in the.
They did it this year too, Mike. Slay has the option to do that.
Gannon is soft.
I mean, well, you're not going to get Jim Johnson. Like the Jim Johnson days are over in the NFL. It's done. Like that's just not how it's going to work anymore. It just doesn't. There's too many good receivers and quarterbacks that run. They spread the wide receivers out, and those 2 interceptions. Who disguised the coverage on those 2 interceptions against Rodgers this week? Who called that disguised coverage? I guess Gannon had nothing to do with that. I guess players are just playing on that one. I just don't get it, Mike. I don't. I understand. Like it's frustrating when we have a lead and you play the prevent defense type thing. I agree, but like, tell me a coordinator that doesn't do it. Like they all do it. We were yelling about Schwartz. Schwartz had the picket line going. Like the days of Jim Johnson are gone. And if you could tell me a defense in this league that does that successfully and wins, I just don't know one right now. I don't, and that's where I'm like, I find it hard to crush Gannon. I think we're so used to the old school way, the Buddy Ryan, the Jim Johnson, even the Ray Rhodes, like that's gone. Like that's not the NFL anymore. It's a nickel team. It's a nickel. 60-70% is in nickel.
Now this week, Jordan Davis is viable to come off. I think Avonte Maddox is next week or the week after. I forget. I think Avonte Maddox is the next week.
Two weeks for Maddox. But I will say this, Mike. So the defense looked much better when you could cover the slot. So Maddox, I think, has been a huge deal there. So he was able to be a little more aggressive. But you saw in the Redskins game, soon as he brought the corners up into man, they just singled out Terry McLaurin in the slot, in man on Josiah Scott, and ripped us apart. And I think that's an issue. I think slot is a big part of that.
Well, Dallas Goedert will be ready to come off next week because he was placed on the IR. And he actually was on record saying he feels good and ready to go. And he actually even kind of jokingly said, I don't know why I told Howie not to put me on IR. I'll be ready to go. And here I am. So like I said, over the next 3 weeks, you're going to see, like I said, this week, Jordan Davis is eligible to come back. Next week, Dallas Goedert's eligible to come back. And the week after that, it'll be Avonte Maddox eligible to come back. So over the next 3 weeks, we'll start getting back key pieces. So I'm not going to ask you to give me a prediction, like of a score prediction of any sort. But on a scale of 1 to 10, how do you feel about this game? How nervous are you? Huh?
I'm a 5.
Okay, that's fair enough. I'm probably a little bit
the Titans are a well-coached team. They started out 0-2. Would they win 7 in a row? Would they lose the last one or 1-1 the last 2?
The Bengals last week, yes.
You know, so I'm at a 5.
I don't even know. Here's my thing: is they're in a
and not in a bad way. It's just a good team going up against a good team.
I just don't think they're as good as people give them credit for. They're in a division that's not that great. You know, I mean, they only won against the teams that they should have won against and lost against good teams. So I'm not as sold on this being like everybody kept looking ahead at this game for the last few weeks. And I kept wait till they get to the Titans, wait till they get to Derrick Henry, wait till they get to this, wait till they get to that. I mean, sometimes when you're running games that good and they know it, it's, I won't say easier to shut down, but it's going to be something that they're going to work on. And I think they're going to scheme against. I do not fear this game as much as others do. Now listen, the team is obviously not going undefeated because they already have their loss. But I mean, I would have to imagine there's at least 2 more losses in their future. The Dallas game, that Christmas Eve game could be a very much a slobber knocker and come down to a loss. They could split with the Giants possibly, especially if the last game of the season becomes not really important to them, depending on where everything plays out. But like I said, I'm not as I don't know. Maybe I'm not. I feel like this 10-1 team gets no respect, even from its own.
I mean, they're 6.5-point favorites, Al. It's not like they're not getting any respect.
Well, that's from Vegas. I'm talking about from what I hear on sports radio,
but
and commenters and all. Like,
they opened at that. The line is now moved down to 4.5, which gives me some concern because that typically is like suckering people into bet the Eagles. But I don't think. They just did a whole thing about how Hurts is the greatest quarterback. I don't think this team doesn't get respect. They're all over ESPN every week.
No, but I'm saying people just keep thinking, oh, every week they're going to lose. They're going to lose. They're going to lose to the Colts because they had a bad game against Washington.
They almost did.
Huh?
They almost did.
Well, just tell me what team goes through the entire season and just dominates every win. Some wins are going to be closer than they should be.
Was that a struggle game like everyone thought it would be?
It was it was much closer than it should be. Yes, absolutely.
They were trailing the entire game out. Now they won because they're a good team and they won. But I'm not saying I'm one of these guys that was saying that. I thought they would beat the Colts probably handily.
The Colts beat.
I didn't expect it to be close.
It's not a good team. I mean,
but what I'm saying is for all the people, I expect them to blow out the Colts, and for all the people that thought they were going to lose. The people that thought they were going to lose are a lot closer than to where me or you were thinking they were going to blow out the Colts.
Here's my thing is after that Washington game, I said it. There's not going to be if we get an easy game, maybe Chicago. If we get an easy game, that'll just be kind of icing on top. I think, or cherry on top. I honestly think each game is going to be much harder. You got people fighting for their playoff lives. You got guys trying to get paid, teams trying not to be completely destroyed. That makes you dangerous. Trying to play spoiler against you. That's just my thing is but I don't think any game's going to be easy. Even that Chicago game, I'm not going to sit there. It could be a blowout, but I think it's going to be maybe a 7-point or less game. It could be. It very much could be.
Serdar here is bringing up a good point. Eagles win too many close games that can go either way. I don't know that that's a bad thing. I actually think that's a good thing, especially for the playoffs.
Yeah, if every game's easy, that's when you fall apart and lose in the first round of the playoffs or something along those lines.
Right, you're going to have a tough matchup,
and you need to be. I think it proves more winning a close game than it does walloping a team or losing to a team. Because everybody, I mean, at one point when we were undefeated, people were just like, "Oh, we just pick a game we need to lose." No, you don't play like that. Because even if you pick a game and lose it on purpose, in your head you're like, "Oh, I picked that game. I didn't lose that. We gave it to them." That's the most asinine thing I can think of. But
adversity, you need to have some adversity so that when it smacks you in the face, you're prepared for it when it comes. Because when you're in the playoffs, it's just going to be different. It just always is. The playoffs don't go in blowouts. It's just not. I mean, sometimes it happens, but you have to feel that in your gut, the pressure and like Hurts, putting them on the back in the cold and overcoming it and winning the game. And then even last week is huge for not only him as a quarterback, but the team. And I think it's a good thing. So when you say too many, I mean, they're 10-1. So of course it's going to be too many.
Same as much as if you win by 1 point or 100 points. The W that's what it means at the end of the game.
I know, but you can take stuff from a close game. There's a close game, like the Packers game. You could take that game and be like, "Oh, that was a close game." But here's the reasons why: the run defense wasn't there, the offense fired right back, and there was injuries. The Colts game, though,
and the special teams
was garbage. Oh, special teams. We could talk about that every week. That's a thing. That's a thing that may kill them in the playoffs.
This last Green Bay game, the special teams hurt us more than any other game because it kept giving the Packers and Aaron Rodgers good field position. That's what hurt us. That's why the score was as high as it was because they had, because they kept giving them field position to keep scoring.
Yeah, they had like three or four short fields. That's the other thing with the defense. They had a lot of short fields. But anyhow, moving on.
So with that being said, I want to do a quick exercise with you because at this point in the season, Jalen Hurts is in the MVP candidate, right? And you hear it every day, and you hear it every week. He's a possible MVP candidate. Going into this season, I'll be honest, I was one of those
Eagles get no respect though.
Huh?
But the Eagles get no respect.
I'm not saying no respect, but for a 10-1.
But he's talking about his MVP every single week.
But I'm saying for a 10-1 team, all we hear, the Niners are the best team in the NFC. The Vikings, they're going to be so much better than us.
Where is this said?
I hear it all the time. I listen to sports radio more than I should.
People are commenting, agree with you. I don't hear this shit anywhere. I don't even know. Like, I watch Monday Night Football. They talked about how good the Eagles are on the NFC East is freaking amazing. They get the credit of how all 4 teams would make the playoffs right now if it ended today. Like, I think it's a Philly being the chip on the shoulder.
Waiting for that shoe. It's like we can't have any nice things.
Like Michael Jordan creating shit that ain't there just to like have something to be pumped for.
So like I said, going into the season, my question marks with Jalen Hurts, they were there. I was kind of on the fence with him. I like what I saw from him. I thought there was improvement, but I didn't know if he could improve in certain areas, which he has shown. And like I said, now he's in that MVP conversation. We saw what he did with his legs alone. I did the post-game show with Matty B, and my players of the game were Jalen Hurts' legs. Just those alone were the players.
His arm too.
Huh? His arm too, but I'm just saying that's all you needed. He didn't need the arm was just icing on top. I want to run through real quick every starting quarterback in my team, and I want you to say yes or no that if you were building a team, who would you rather have, Jalen Hurts or this guy?
Not this team, just a brand new team.
Yeah, like if you could replace Jalen Hurts on the Eagles with any one of these quarterbacks.
Well, there's 2 different questions here. Starting a franchise with a quarterback, okay, fresh, or this team right now. So which is it? Starting a quarterback team?
This team right now. This team right now. If you could
fucking say no to everything. Go ahead.
Okay. So Jalen Hurts. All right, let's start with the Ravens. Lamar Jackson. Would you have
Hurts?
Jalen Hurts? Huh?
Hurts.
I agree. I always thought Lamar's overrated in my eyes. Josh Allen.
Hurts.
Really?
I think Josh Allen's overrated. Not overrated. I'm sorry. He's a top 5 quarterback, no doubt about it. But I think when he gets put in the top 1 category, top 2 is not. I don't think that's accurate. I just don't think he chokes too much.
Joe Burrow.
This is the tough one. I text my buddies this on Sunday actually. This would be this is the kind of the him and Mahomes are the 2 hard ones for me. It's so hard to make that call.
It's funny. Somebody pointed out in the Super Bowl could be a Tua versus Hurts kind of revenge championship matchup if things played out that way.
I'm going to go Hurts.
I'm going to go Hurts too.
Based on durability. I feel like Burrow.
If you asked me this last year, I probably would have said Joe Burrow.
But Burrow's only been hurt once, right? This is so tough. I don't know, man. That's a tough one. I love Joe Burrow, man. Man.
You give a couple inches to Joe Burrow for what they were able to do last year.
This team, though, no. I like Joe Burrow before last year.
But I'm just saying, like, because you saw he could take a team to a championship.
And that's not having an impact for me.
Okay.
Because I think.
But you're still taking Jalen Hurts right now over Joe Burrow.
With this particular team, yes, the RPO and the way we run the offense, I think Hurts is the fit.
Well, the offense would probably change a little bit based on the
That's what I said. You start a franchise or the Eagles.
Well,
no, it wouldn't hurt. I mean, Sirianni would run the same stuff.
That Steichen and then wouldn't change the play calling if it was Joe Burrow in there or Matt Stafford or somebody like less mobile. I mean, the RPR would not even probably be a thing with half of these quarterbacks.
And they wouldn't call quarterback draws either. But then there's a lot of questions you could go. Would the receivers be as successful without the threat of him running as well? So like, there's so many ways to go with that.
That's why I'm asking. All right, next one would be in the Browns. I'm going to ask for 2. Jacoby Brissett. I'm guessing that's a no. Deshaun Watson.
This is a big one. So I'm Jalen Hurts, and the one guy I would have traded for Russell Wilson in the offseason, not for 2 or 3 first-round picks or whatever it was, but I would, if it was 1 and like a 3 and maybe multiple 2s, I would have done the Wilson deal. Watson was a guy I definitely would have taken outside of all the stuff off the field. But as it stands right now, I would go with Jalen Hurts.
I don't think there's any doubt in my mind. I think Deshaun Watson is one of the most overrated quarterbacks at this point. And especially the fact the guy hasn't played football in 2 years. All the crap surrounding him just makes it worse. I just don't think – I'm not saying he's not a great athlete. And I'm not saying he can't be a good quarterback, but can he be a good leader and bring a team to a championship? I don't think so. I think I pick Jalen Hurts now over Deshaun Watson at any point in his career, but especially now. Russell Wilson.
Agreed. Hurts. Wilson's got to be the biggest disappointment, and thank God Howie was on the horn trying to get him.
I'm sure he was, and he had those 2 first-round picks to bargain with. So
thankfully, that didn't fall. Thankfully, he didn't give up that amount to get him.
When is he going to? He's showing up plenty. He shows up.
I see what he's saying. It's not him not showing up. He's got to get the ball thrown to him.
Yeah, I know.
And I actually text my buddies this weekend. I'm like, do you think there's going to be a point that Devontae Smith gets frustrated because he is a top 10 pick and he's not getting the ball because he's a 2 and a 3, you know what I mean? And they're going to Watkins using the speed. So I don't know. I don't think it's a Devontae Smith thing, though. I just think there's not enough ball to go around. And AJ Brown's got much more rapport with Hurts. They're best friends, and he's better than Devontae
does that
Smith.
hurt
he's a beast.
the other receivers like that because of their friendship? Yeah.
You saw the one game where, they focused on getting it to Devontae. He had like 180 yards, 6 catches. I mean, the Eagles are going to have to focus on Devontae one game just to keep him happy.
All right, so we could probably run through a couple of these real quick. Davis Mills, Matt Ryan, Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, just go. Hurts.
Mahomes.
Mahomes? Oh, man, I have to go with I don't want to go with Mahomes, though. I kind of just want to go with Hurts. I feel like I'm being like a traitor here. Like, Hurts is in his 2nd, 3rd year, and he showed so much promise. He's never going to be probably what Mahomes is as far as that goes, but his leadership, I think not being a homer, though, you have to say Mahomes.
I have to go with Mahomes, too, just because he's won the champion. He's won the big game. He's been to the big game. He's a proven winner. Right now, Jalen Hurts still haven't done that yet. Not saying he won't. But that gives me a little bit of, whatever. Take it for what it is. Derek Carr.
I still feel like I would pick Hurts over Mahomes at this point. The leadership just so awesome. But, yeah, Mahomes is definitely a better quarterback right now.
Derek Carr.
No way. Hurts.
Justin Herbert.
Hurts. Herbert's a good one, though. Like, he's a good quarterback, tall.
It was a close one. Tua Tagovailoa.
Hurts. I feel like Tua is going to get hurt again one of these weeks and be out a few weeks. But Tua's evolved, too. He's a great quarterback now. You get a good coach that plays to your strengths.
But once again, I would have to pick Hurts because Tua hasn't done anything yet for me to go, okay, I want him over Hurts. And durability is also another thing.
He's 8-0. He's throwing accurate as hell all over the football field.
Well, I'm just saying, like,
he's got the best receiving core in football, probably.
Or had a good champion or a good playoff run. I would maybe lean towards Tua a little bit more, but because of that, I would deal. And what I see with Jalen, I like a little better. So it's a tight race, but I think Jalen ekes it out a little bit for me over Tua. Mac Jones,
Hurts.
Mike White or Zach Wilson on the Jets.
Hurts.
Kenny Pickett.
Hurts.
Ryan Tannehill.
Hurts.
Marcus Mariota.
Hurts.
Kyler Murray.
Hurts.
Sam Darnold.
Hurts.
Justin Fields.
Hurts.
Dak Prescott.
I think Dak Prescott is so overrated. Hurts.
Jared Goff. Aaron Rodgers.
Hurts.
Matt Stafford. Healthy, of course.
Hurts.
Kirk Cousins.
Hurts.
Andy Dalton.
Hurts.
Daniel Jones.
Hurts.
Jimmy G or Trey Lance.
Hurts.
Geno Smith.
Hurts. Geno Smith's been awesome this year.
Yeah, I know.
I'm like stunned by that.
Tom Brady.
Hurts.
Taylor Heineke.
Hurts.
So technically, if you go
you can't get away without saying Carson Wentz.
Well,
Hurts.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, really, I had to. So technically, if
Oh,
we
I
go
think
by,
we were very Hertz or Wentz pro. We should own up to that a little bit.
well, no,
It was
I'm
the right
not,
move.
but I'm at this point, no. I'm what I know now. No, I want Jalen Hurts 10 times over.
Yeah.
At one point, yes, Carson Wentz was the better quarterback from a talent standpoint, but those intangibles come into play here and makes a huge difference.
And the work. You put the work in.
You put the work in, and the smarts go a long way. So if you look at our exercise, you have Jalen Hurts pretty much top 3 NFL quarterback as of this week.
That's where I have him. And just as far as like,
and actually, technically, you have 2. I have 3 because I put Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen above him at this point.
yeah, I'd take him over Allen, and I know Allen's like very good and has an arm. I just feel like the leadership. I just think the smarts and the ability to not turn the ball over is just such a huge benefit with Hurts. You know, he doesn't turn the football over, and
smart. And that's the thing is we kind of ride and die with Carson in that case, knowing that the way he played his game and all that, the escapability of Carson.
And he didn't throw picks a lot, but like he fumbled all the time. Where Hurts doesn't do that. He just takes care of the football, and it really wins football games. You know.
Yeah, and like I said, I'll own up to I was big a Carson Wentz fan. And I guess seeing what I saw in 2017, I felt very comfortable to say he was going to be a very good top flight quarterback. But I mean, now consistency will play a factor in this. But I mean, we may have for the first time in a long time, since probably Donovan McNabb, a franchise quarterback that could be with us for the next 6, 7, 8 years.
I mean, he's doing things that make me think, is he going to be the best Eagles quarterback ever? Like that's because he's just too young and just he's not. There's no signs of him not working. Like injury is the only thing that's going to stop this train. I feel like.
Sure.
And now he has weapons around him to do that where McNabb didn't. But like I still just there are times Hurts has been bailing through the pocket, not making the throws. Still. I became a believer after that Vikings game at halftime on our halftime show. It was when I announced my believership because he started to scan the field, make the right reads. So it's in him. But, you know, I feel like he's just going to evolve and get better and better because he puts in the work, man. He's just got that.
And I think the one thing is that he's constantly striving to be better, even after a game like the Vikings game when they totally destroyed the Vikings. Any young quarterback or any quarterback, even a young quarterback can sit there and go, we were awesome. We were unstoppable. There's nothing. I don't have to fix anything. I'm the best. He still found things that he wasn't happy with, and he went and worked on it. The way he celebrates, we celebrate for what it is today, but we're back to work tomorrow. Like
stays hungry.
To me, I mean, looking at just this list right now, I'm looking down this list. You know, there's guys who are falling off the list who at one point were top tier elite quarterbacks, top 10 quarterbacks, and your Matt Ryans, your Tom Brady's. I mean, I think Tom Brady's done at the end of this year, personally.
Well, Matt Ryan has sucked for quite some time.
Matt Ryan, you know how I feel about him. Russell Wilson I just think he's done. I mean, Deshaun Watson to me is now, I think once he went to Cleveland, he sealed his deal for me as it is.
I think he'll still be an awesome quarterback. The fact that he was putting up the numbers he was on that shit Houston team was amazing to me.
I mean, I think
that line was so bad.
I think you're looking, if you look at the next in 5 years, outside of anybody coming into the NFL and just blowing everybody away, your top 5 to 7 quarterbacks are Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, Tua,
Patrick
Mahomes.
Hurts.
It hurts. Like you're looking at, like, you know, when you watch a national Sunday night game or a Monday night game, and or even any game where they're always using like people to compare. Oh, he reminds me of Pat Mahomes, the way he can do this or he can do that. They're going to be talking about Jalen Hurts like that, outside of course any injury or collapse like that.
He's what we had hoped for and more. You know, regardless if you were
like critical. We're not used to that. We're just not ready. And I think that's why there's that feeling in some people. But real quick, guys, I want to remind you.
If you have that feeling, if you're still hating on Hurts, like you just
if you're hating on Hurts,
you're either a Wentzer that like just doesn't want to let it go that you were wrong, or you just I don't know. You don't understand. You don't like football. I don't know how.
I've made it abundantly clear there's plenty of people out there who would rather be right than win a championship. If I had a take that was completely wrong, but the Eagles won the Super Bowl, I'd be happy more than to take my
right.
wrong.
But I'm just saying, how can you watch what he's doing and like you could critique him, but to be like, get this guy out of here. He's not the answer. He's not going to be a good quarterback. Is just I don't even know how you can have that opinion.
Yeah. So guys, remember this great episode and all these other episodes here on the EOP and Painted Lines lineup. Here's just a taste. Whatever you missed so far can go back to our YouTube channel or podcast and check them out. Plenty coming up tomorrow. Birds IQ, the round table with the Painted Lines, the attacking third, talking Union soccer and World Cup soccer, as well as Clear the Ice, the finals after the Flyers and Lightning game, plus so much more. The Old School Show is back this week, and they're talking the biggest D-bags in Philly sports. So it should be an interesting topic. And don't forget the halftime and post game for the Eagles-Titans lineup this weekend and so much more. Don't forget All Lacrosse Live will be earlier. We talked to Gary and Mike earlier. It'll be at 10:30 a.m. But, guys, if you need something to do this weekend, Dolan's Bar, check it out, 24 East Stars Avenue, Ridley Park. On the Friday, they have Ziggy and the Moondogs. On Saturday, they have the Real Gawns playing 50s and 60s rock and roll. On the 16th, it is an annual treat at Dolan's. I've seen it. It is amazingly funny and a great time. Great group of people. Christmas Tabernacle Choir with Jay Whaley, and it's Dirty Christmas Carols. It's so much fun. And then every Eagles game, go to Dolan's, have one of their delicious cheesesteaks or wings cheesesteak, win some memorabilia. You never know who you're going to run into. Don't forget David R. Cherry for all your legal needs. Workers' comp, motor vehicle, personal injury, criminal law, 610-565-0300, or go to cherryinjurylaw.com. Tell Dave we sent you. And phillysportstrips.com. A lot of these games are being locked up. I'm pretty sure the Chicago one is sold out at this point. Dallas is still available. All the tailgates for the home games, all the Phillies spring training, Phillies bus trips, Sixers bus trips up to Brooklyn, you name it, they got it. If you need a great but inexpensive trip to take, go grab a Sixers Brooklyn game or one of the Phillies bus trips. Is a great treat for during the holidays for your Philly sports fan that you need to buy that tough present to buy for. And I want to once again bring in here and greet you guys to one of our newest sponsors, part of the EOP family here at Sherry'sTickets.com, Sherry's Ticket Town. Forget all the others. You go to Sherry'sTickets.com for all your ticket needs. If it's sports in Philly, concerts, theater tickets, they got you. The price you see on the site is the price you pay. You're not going to get duped at the end when you're going out. And you could save an additional 10% off by using the promo code EOP10. That is starting tomorrow. They officially kick off that promo code tomorrow or at midnight, if whatever you want to say. EOP10 at checkout to save an additional 10% off the great prices you already see at Sherry'sTickets.com. Any parting words there, Freddie?
Predictions real quick. I think the Eagles, I don't know, man. My gut's telling me the Eagles lose on Sunday. So I just want to get that out here now. That'll be one of the losses. I don't think it's going to be too big of a deal. We just move on and keep going. But that's my gut on the Eagles Sunday. My gut's telling me the opposite. And until they prove me wrong, I'm going to go with them be a winner. It's going to be a barn burner. It's going to be a big man running back in Henry versus a big front line in the Eagles. I think Jalen Hurts has enough to keep the Tennessee defense on their heels. Like I said, every game will be a slobber knocker, but I think ultimately the Eagles will win this one until they prove me otherwise. I'm running with my Eagles 10-1. All right, guys. I'm Big Al. I'm Freddie Burns.
And we out of here.
There's one thing I want you to do for me.
What?
Come here.
What?
Win. Win.
What are we waiting for? Take it!